So he's still the problem, right? Welcome back to the World Cup recap, day 13 of the tournament, the last day of the second round of group games. After today, things are going to start to get absolutely crazy. 6 games in one day, games played at the same time. So let's appreciate this day while we still can, because, man, this is where the World Cup is going to start to get serious. Every game is going to start to matter. Teams are going to be flying out of this one. But let's get through the last 2 groups as they look to try to finalize things before, obviously, their final games, potentially their final games of their tournament. We got to start things off with Portugal against Uzbekistan. Both teams coming off disappointing results in their first games. Uzbekistan gave a good fight, but obviously fell short to Colombia in the end. But Portugal was a big one. One of the favorites to win the tournament, my pick to win the tournament, completely fell flat in their first game against DR Congo. They obviously took the lead early on, but really did nothing special after that. And unsurprisingly, everyone had a lot to say after this game. Whether it was about Roberto Martinez and his tactics, the lack of midfield play, the lack of dangerous chances, and most of all, Cristiano Ronaldo's involvement or lack of involvement in that game. Which I'll be the first to say that in my video, I said that his lack of involvement in that game was nothing down to him. Regardless of who Portugal had playing his position, right? Whether it was him or João Felix or Gonçalo Ramos, regardless of what it was, who else would have been able to really succeed in that situation? Yes, there was a moment where he could have maybe played it off to Bruno Fernandes, but apart from that, there was really nothing more he could have done. This came down to their lack of midfield play, particularly from Bruno Fernandes and Vitinha. Those two are supposed to be the playmakers for this team, and they really didn't do much of that in their last game. That was obviously going to be the big emphasis heading into this one. Not to mention all the side plot of João Neves and his comments and the reactions around that. That's a whole other thing, but going into this, Portugal had to bounce back. And again, it all came down to that midfield. And they wasted absolutely no time. Within the first 5 minutes, we were just seeing a much more aggressive Portugal. Bruno Fernandes was looking like his Man United self, tracking back, winning the ball back, creating chances. Again, already from that short sample size, I was starting to see what this could become for Portugal. Ronaldo, obviously, with a chance as well, you felt like something was coming. And it only took 6 minutes for the old man to remind everyone who he is. Cancelo from the right finds Ronaldo inside, and there it is. He gets his World Cup goal, becoming the first player to score in 6 World Cups. That is absolutely insane. It was just what he needed to silence all the doubters, all the critics, all that said that he shouldn't be on this team, he shouldn't be involved, he shouldn't be starting, he's the problem, he's this, he's that. 6 minutes, and he shut everyone up. And more importantly, he also gave the crowd what they all wanted to see. Again, Portugal just could not have gone off to a better start in this one. Uzbekistan were just completely flustered by what Portugal's intensity was at the beginning of the game. And obviously, he didn't stop there. Portugal winning a set piece in front. Ronaldo standing by. Everyone's got their phone out. They know that he's probably going to take it. But in the end, right next to him is Nuno Mendes, a left-footed player who on that free kick had all to shoot for. Well, Ronaldo, on the other hand, had to probably curve it around a wall. Now, obviously, we've seen him do that before against Spain in the World Cup. But in this situation, Portugal or Ronaldo, whoever you want to give this credit to, they made the right move. They gave it to Nuno Mendes on the left, and he smashed it home. 2-0 Portugal. And again, for all the ones that said, oh, Ronaldo's selfish, he doesn't like his teammates, this and that. What now? Without even touching the ball, let alone scoring the goal on that free kick, Ronaldo silenced his doubters. And he obviously wasn't done there. Bruno Fernandes, again, we've seen his playmaking ability in Man United. It completely translated today. He pulled Ronaldo through on goal, and he didn't mess up the finish. Just like that, 3-0 and 2 for Cristiano Ronaldo. I expected him to have some sort of bounce back game, maybe scoring 1 goal, which would be enough. But 2 for him in the first half. Could not have asked for much more. Now, before that, obviously, Uzbekistan had a really good chance to pull themselves back within it, with Ghaniev looking like he scored one of the best goals in the tournament, which was obviously ruled out. But other than that little blip, a perfect first half for Portugal. They led 3-0. After that, it was just pretty much bonus for this team. They obviously made their substitutions with the Colombia game in mind, but they still managed to strike twice more, one being on a very weird set piece. Again, these set piece goals are just going crazy, even the own goals as well. I think this is already the 8th or 9th of the tournament. And of course, Rafael coming off the bench and capping things off at the end. 5-0 for Portugal, a great bounce back game for them, and it puts them right back in position to potentially win this group. Well, Uzbekistan on the other end aren't completely out of things yet. Yes, this was a much more poor showing from them than what it was in the Colombia game, where for a while they were pretty much hanging in there toe-to-toe with them. But yeah, this was just a day to forget for them. Just want to get that out of the way before we go on to Portugal. Exactly what they needed from just all sides. Again, we started from the midfield and they all came to play. In particular, obviously, Bruno Fernandes. His play on both sides of the ball. That is exactly what Portugal need. We know Bruno Fernandes is capable of that. We've seen him do that for Man United all season and all throughout his time there. Him being able to translate his style into that Portugal team is the X factor. He does that, that completely just unlocks everything. The playmaking, the tracking back, the defensive work rate, all of that stuff is what Portugal need from him. To me, he is easily this team's most important player. They go wherever he goes. If he's not on it, well, we saw already what could happen there. Speaking of bounce back games, Nuno Mendes on that left-hand side just running things. Obviously, the free kick goal was spectacular, but even without that, really, really impressive showing from him. Vitinha played a lot better. Obviously, he's still not to the best of his capability, but in a game like this, when you already have standout performances, you really don't need to do too much. I still have a little bit of doubt in my mind as far as Portugal's wing play. I thought João Felix was a brilliant upgrade in that position today. And Conceição, once again, he played the last 45 minutes just like he did against DR Congo. This time he came off for Pedro Neto. And again, much more improved on that right-hand side. If I was Portugal, I would honestly consider starting Conceição for that Colombia game. Because to me, he's been the only consistent winger throughout this one. Pedro Neto has just not been that impressive. And João Felix, I like what I saw from him. Maybe he could stay in there for another game, but I could see that being truly Portugal's weakness if they don't sort that out quickly. Obviously, Rafa Leao is a guy that you would also consider for that position. He obviously scored today, played well off the bench as well, so yeah, Portugal's got to make some decisions there. They got to really stick to a lineup, especially on that wing play, that really sticks. Everything else is pretty much as good as it can be. Obviously, having Ruben Dias back there is big for them. After Bruno Fernandes, he's probably the second most important player on this Portugal team. He holds down that defense. We saw what it looked like in the last game against DR Congo. It was just all over the place. Having him back there as the backbone, as the leader of that group, is huge. But yeah, as I already alluded to, Portugal have a huge last game against Colombia to determine who wins that group. That's a game where, again, Portugal's defense is really going to be tested in that one, but the same could be said for the other side. Portugal getting their mojo back, getting their attacking back in front, and having a Cristiano Ronaldo back in his form, back in confidence. That is going to take them a long, long way. It's crazy that in this game, Cristiano scored more goals than he did in his previous 2 international tournaments. But like I said in the beginning, he's back like he never left, becoming the second oldest goal scorer in World Cup history, showing to everyone that he still got it. And I know there'll still be people doubting, saying it's only Uzbekistan, but where was that argument for Mbappe and Holland? They scored 2 goals against Iraq and no one said anything about that. So all that to say, appreciate what you see. Appreciate the greatness. Appreciate what this World Cup is offering. We're seeing all of the star players come out. All of them have delivered great performances so far. And again, we're only the beginning. We're only 2 games into this. So hopefully this isn't the last we see of Cristiano Ronaldo bagging goals and dominating at this World Cup. Moving on to the second game of the day, we go to the last group here with England against Ghana. Yeah, there was nothing much to this game. I'll just be completely honest. This was easily the worst game of the tournament. We've been very lucky so far in the fact that we haven't had too many of these dud games, these 0-0 games. The 0-0 games that we've gotten have actually been pretty exciting. Case in point, Ecuador against Curacao. But yeah, there's really nothing redeeming about this one other than the fact that England once again failed to impress in their second game of a tournament. It's like a thing now. I didn't realize how much of this was a thing until I actually looked back at the history. It is insane. It's always the second game that just brings down all the hopes of the England football team. I don't know how they managed to do it, but my God, they did it again. And the fact that even the players heading into this game emphasize it of the fact that, hey, second game, it always ends in a draw. It always is a disappointing game. We got to go out there and prove that wrong. And classic England, they do it again. It's just a gift that keeps on giving. They go from giving a really impressive performance against Croatia, plenty of attack, plenty of chances, just plenty of great things to take away from that one. There's really nothing I could take away from this one other than the fact that changes should be made because Tuchel once again went with sort of a similar lineup as far as the upper half of the team, with the only changes coming in the form of Mark Gee and Jed Spence starting. But yeah, Ghana, they did what they had to do. They defended their butts off. They haven't conceded a goal yet in this tournament. They got back-to-back clean sheets, so fair play to them. Like I said, they're a team that going into this World Cup kind of slept on because they're a low-ranked team. They didn't make AFCON. They've gone through a lot of things in recent years. But when it comes to the World Cup, they always show up, always do their thing. They always rise to the big occasion. That win against Panama was pretty much enough, and this draw, it sealed it. Now back to England. Yeah, again, just a really underwhelming, unimpressive performance from them. Yes, they had almost 80% of the possession. Yes, they had 19 shots, but Come on, man. When you watch this one, how many chances do you really feel threatened? Harry Kane obviously hitting that crossbar. That's, yeah. I think what I said yesterday about Erling Haaland pretty much reigns true because I don't want to sit up here and say he would have finished that, but you know what I mean. Harry Kane, great goal scorer. I've said this many times. He's the best goal scorer in the world, but when it comes to finishing the ball, he may not always have the most tricks in his bag that you would maybe need him for that purpose. But again, I think this kind of goes back to the Ronaldo thing where I don't think all of this really falls on him. It's just the support play. And what I mean by that is England's wingers. Because for the second straight game, Thomas Tuchel went with Anthony Gordon and Noni Madueke. If I was an England fan, I would not want to see those two anywhere near the starting lineup for the rest of the tournament. Gordon just hasn't been that dynamic threat that we all thought he could be in this England system. He's not really making those crazy runs. He's not really taking players on too much. It just hasn't really worked out. And Noni Madueke as well. I'm not sure if they're still trying to protect Bukayo Saka's health throughout this tournament, but again, how much more is it going to be on him on the right-hand side? In the Croatia game, he wasn't bad. Obviously, he drew the penalty, so that's pretty much counts as an assist. But this one was just nothing, really. Jude Bellingham as well. I gave him a lot of flowers for his performance against Croatia, but again, today, nothing really. And that is sort of what you get from this England team and just some of these players in general. They'll go from having great offensive performances, all things to rave about, and then they'll have a game like this and it's like, what are they doing? What is their role on this team? How is this team going to all gel and play together? It's always the same questions that come up for this team in every tournament, man. They go from one game, oh, it's going to come home, and the next game comes around and it's like, oh, now you're back to reality. You know what it's like supporting England. And again, this is not me saying that it's over for them and they're a fraud and they're not going to win the tournament. They're not going to go far. They're going to lose in the first round. No. That's not any of that. Again, this is a recurring theme with this national team throughout multiple tournaments, not just World Cups, but just tournaments in general. Their second games, they're always just very, very lackluster. But hey, if there's ever a game for them to gain their confidence back, it's the next one. They're playing Panama, the same team that they destroyed 6-1 at the 2018 World Cup. They'll have a chance to probably replicate something like that in their last game and try to just erase any kind of doubt that's maybe creeped in from this one. That's probably what you're looking at. I think we'll probably see a lot different of an England lineup in that game, but the fact that England's pretty much kind of already through to the next round, I could definitely see Tuchel experimenting a lot more with a couple of different players that we haven't really seen a lot of in this tournament get their chances. But yeah, just one to forget in general, not just for England, but just in general with this tournament. Again, we've been spoiled so far. We've seen so much great football. We were going to have games like this eventually. And of course, England was the one to deliver that. Now sticking with this group, we go to Toronto for this one. Panama against Croatia. Both teams falling short in their first games of the tournament. Panama suffering an absolute heart-wrencher at the end, playing so well in that Ghana game, but just falling short in the end. And Croatia, obviously, they were able to go toe-to-toe with England in the end, falling short. But knowing that this game would pretty much decide their tournament, they just had to come out for this one, which they kind of did. Again, similar to the last one, this wasn't the most action-packed game you would see. But regardless, in the first half, Croatia putting a couple of chances on, but again, nothing too crazy. Second half is obviously where they would really make their mark, with Ante Budimir coming off the bench, and in just a brilliant setup play, the backheel pass, Stanisic crosses it in, and Budimir heads it on. Less than 10 minutes after coming off the bench, he gets the all-important icebreaker. Croatia take the lead. A lead that they were able to hang on to for the rest of this one. Panama, once again, fair play to them. While they do join the list of teams that have yet to score a goal in this tournament, they were just awfully close in this one. I don't think Dominik Livakovic gets enough credit for how he is in the World Cup. He is just so elite, man. That save that he made in the first half where he tipped the shot and it hit the bar, amazing stuff. I still have the belief that Livakovic should have won the Golden Glove in the 2022 World Cup above Emi Martinez, because the performances that he had in that tournament, especially in that Brazil game, were just insane. And in this one, he's still the same old self that he was. I'm surprised that Livakovic gets overlooked like this when we talk about goalkeepers in this tournament. Even in the England game last week, I might have said this too, he was solid in that one. Yes, he gave up 4 goals, but I do not think that was down to him. I just think that was Croatia's poor structure, and England were just obviously dominant that day. But he made some great stops in that one as well. So Croatia will definitely have him to thank for that one, and just in general, this was a lot better showing from them. A lot better structure, a lot better systems. Zlatko Dalic making the right adjustments. Croatia getting the 3 points. That was pretty much all they needed. Yes, they obviously were only able to get 1 against Panama, but Panama, they're a sturdy team. Even Ghana was only able to get 1 against them, and it came literally right at the end of the game. They're a stingy team. This is not the team from 2018 where England were able to put 6 past them. So again, fair play to Panama. Obviously, their World Cup ends here. Well, not really. They still play one more game, but they have absolutely no chance of advancing to the next round. But again, a solid showing from them, and hopefully they do get that first goal at some point, because again, we saw the scenes in 2018 when they were able to do it. I would love to see that again. But again, as for Croatia, they obviously enter a big final match against Ghana, a game that will definitely determine their World Cup chances. Again, they at least need a draw out of that one to position themselves at least as one of the top third place teams. A win would obviously put them above Ghana in the standings. So again, plenty to look forward to for Croatia. And again, I know this may not be necessarily the Croatia teams of past World Cups. I mean, you never know what could happen. If Livakovic gets hot, we'll see how far he can take them. But yeah, Croatia are still, again, very great team. A lot of great talented players on that one. They're a little bit of a different structure as we've seen in past tournaments. But most importantly, this team still has the pedigree. They still have that same veteran presence, especially in that midfield. They still have the same head coach that's been making all the moves. Although it's been a little bit of a slower start for them in this World Cup, make no mistake, they are still a team to look out for. And speaking of teams to look out for, we go right back to the other group. We got to talk about Colombia against DR Congo. Colombia had a brilliant attacking display in their first game against Uzbekistan, although that game still managed to be a lot closer than we all thought it would be, but they still managed to get the result they needed from that. Today, on the other hand, they pretty much controlled all of this game. From the jump, we were seeing Colombia just come right out the gate, putting tons of pressure and tons of chances on DR Congo's net. To say they were just pouring it on was an absolute understatement, and for that, my credit goes to Lionel Mpasi. Again, these goalkeepers, man, we've just seen it so many times in this tournament. A random goalkeeper from a random country makes a stellar performance, making stellar saves. Once again, we see it here for DR Congo. He was just stunning, man. Again, Colombia just powering shots on net, a lot of them from long range, and he was just diving all over the place, but he's really getting in there for this one. But again, for Colombia, they had a couple of great chances in this one. Daniel Munoz, his chance ruled out. He obviously would finally get his moment later in this game with veteran Juan Quintero coming off the bench. Colombia able to turn it over, and Munoz getting on the end of it, a brilliant layoff for that one as well. He gets his goal. Colombia take the lead. It's the thing that Daniel Munoz, man, he's a right back. He is a right back, and he has 2 goals in this tournament. He has as many goals as Ronaldo. He's just been so impressive, and I knew obviously he's been at a great season with Crystal Palace. He's been a mainstay for them, but I did not think he would be this impactful at the World Cup. But his runs out from right back have just been absolutely ridiculous. What a player he is for this team. Colombia taking the lead, a big lead in the context of this group. Luis Diaz almost added a couple more in the end. Both goals are ruled out for separate reasons. Kind of wish one of those went in, especially the one where he was able to cut inside and make that shot. That was brilliant. But again, Colombia taking care of business. They secure themselves a spot in the knockouts and will obviously have the chance to play for the top spot against Portugal. A draw is all that they need to secure that spot against the Portuguese. Task that will definitely be easier said than done for this defense. We saw them get tested a little bit in the Uzbekistan game. They had a lot better today in this one, really slowing down DR Congo. They weren't able to get too much going from the counterattack. But yeah, Colombia, once again, they're showing their identity as far as what they are. They're an attack-first team. They obviously weren't as clinical today as what they were in their last game, but regardless, we know what they are capable of. And again, when you have a guy like Luis Diaz, he was able to perform those moves at the end. He is a danger. He is still very much a danger for defenses. So even though he was a little bit off today, and I say a little bit, I mean, he still was great, obviously just without the output really. But yeah, Colombia, they are riding high so far in this tournament. 2 wins out of 2. And if they're able to pull off some kind of upset against Portugal, man, that would just be a huge statement for them. And that is it for this day of the World Cup. Before I get out of here though, I do just want to quickly run through all of these groups and all the different scenarios that you can come to expect in this last match day. Starting in Group A, where Mexico has secured top spot. They're not going anywhere. They're going to the knockout stages, but it will be a fight for that last spot. South Korea currently holds it. So for Czech and South Africa, they need a win. That goes without saying. They need to win, and South Korea point would pretty much be all they need to get to that stage. In Group B, Canada versus Switzerland take each other on to see who will claim first place in that group. You obviously know who I'm riding with today. I'm going for Canada in this one, but even for Canada, a draw would also be enough for them to put them over Switzerland in that first place spot. Meanwhile, Bosnia and Qatar, they have a lot to play for as well. Despite the bad goal differentials from their blowouts in their last games, a win for either one of those teams would probably be enough to push them into the knockout stage. In Group C, Brazil and Morocco take each other on, not in a literal sense. We've already seen that game take place, but they're taking each other on to see which team can score more goals and get the better result in order to put themselves in first and second in that group. Meanwhile, for Scotland, their goal is to obviously not get blown out by Brazil, and if they can get any kind of result That'd be just historic for them. In Group D, the U.S. has secured first place in that one with Australia and Paraguay taking each other on. Draw would probably be enough to see both of those teams advance to the next round, but a win for them could push either one of them out. That could be interesting. In Group B, Germany locks up first place for them. They'll probably look to rest a lot of their guys to the benefit of Ecuador as they desperately need a win to keep their tournament alive. Well, Curacao will look to obviously build off their first World Cup point as they take on the Ivory Coast. Again, a point for Ivory Coast would pretty much be enough for them to secure second in the group. In Group F, the Netherlands are probably going to have an absolute field day against Tunisia, so maybe let's not worry about first place, but at the same time, you never know with Japan. Sweden obviously coming off a shocker against the Netherlands. They'll look to bounce back against Japan. That'll be a really interesting one. I could definitely see that being a high-scoring game from both teams. Group G is still all to play for. Egypt currently have the lead in their group with just 4 points, while Iran and Belgium are tied for 2. I can see a scenario where honestly every team draws, which will probably be enough to put whoever comes in third to come out of this group. But on that, Belgium takes on New Zealand and Egypt takes on Iran. A win for Iran or Belgium could put them in contention for first place. In Group H, Spain lead the group with 4 points. They take on Uruguay next. Meanwhile, Cape Verde have the chance to make history. A win for them would push them into the knockout stage, and even a draw could theoretically be enough against Saudi Arabia, who to their credit are not completely out of this either. If they get the win against Cape Verde, that will probably be enough for them to get to the knockouts. In Group I, France and Norway take on each other for what will be absolutely the most anticipated group game of this tournament. Holland versus Mbappe and a chance to take home the group. Meanwhile, Senegal needs to bounce back against Iraq. In Group J, Argentina has secured first in the group, and they're going to probably have another field day against Jordan. While Austria and Algeria will take each other on in a crucial game in that group. A loss for either one of these teams could easily put them out of the tournament. Group K, we've already kind of run through this with Colombia and Portugal. Portugal need a win to get first place in the group. A draw would be enough for Colombia to secure their spot. Well, DR Congo will look to try to get their first ever win at the World Cup, which would probably be enough to put them through as well. And finally, in Group L, England takes on Panama. Probably know how that's going to end up. But more crucially, Croatia takes on Ghana. Ghana already on 4 points this game probably does mean a lot more to Croatia. But we'll see what happens in the end, how all of these scenarios unfold, and try to keep you updated as much as possible as far as what that could mean for the potential knockout matchups. But thank you so much for watching this one. Make sure to like and subscribe for daily World Cup content. I'm going to try to keep my schedule as good as I possibly can for this. 6 games in one day is going to be hard to keep up with, especially with the 2 games in one day. I will do my best. The breakdowns may not be as in-depth for these next couple of days, so bear with me here. Just trying to get as much out as possible. But yeah, I can't wait to see how all of this unfolds and, of course, all of the matchups. And again, if you're still down to Cristiano Ronaldo, you might need to look yourself in the mirror. Let's play football.